Welcome, Bitcoin fam, to the #1 Bitcoin pod. Bitcoin just recaptured 107 new all-time highs in play. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest technical analysis. We'll also be discussing German government missed out on $2.3 billion profit after selling Bitcoin like idiots at 57,000. Also breaking news, Genesis files dual lawsuits to claw back $3.3 billion from DCG and Barry Silbert. We'll also be discussing U.S. Senate moves forward with their genius stablecoin bill, as well as El Salvador. Bitcoin countries, Bitcoin holdings surged to 644 million, generating 357 million in unrealized gains. We'll also be discussing Bitcoin will go much, much higher as U.S. government needs to borrow more money than we think, according to Arthur Hayes. Just blaze. Also breaking news from Max Keiser, quoting him here. Yen-Terry trade explodes. Japan forced to sell 1.2 trillion in U.S. Treasury bonds. Bitcoin carry trade goes vertical. The speculative attack on fiat money spikes higher as capital flees the low-yielding fiat money and plows into the high-yielding Bitcoin. 2.2 million in play. He also says the BondPocalypse is coming, hence 2.2 million in play, baby. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market, all this plus so much more in today's show. If you're new to the YouTube channel, it's important to smash the likes. Go ahead, subscribe, then ring the bell. Turn on all notifications. That way you receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day when we go live. Today is pod episode 1997. I'm your host, JV. It's May 20th, 2025. It looks like today is going to be the big day. We recapture all-time highs. We're only $2,000 away at this current moment in time, which is so exciting, to say the least. But kicking it off with our market watch, as we do each and every day, pulling up Coin 360, should be able to see here on your screen. Bitcoin up 1% on the day, hanging out at around 107. Ether in the red, barely, and XRP in the red, down 1.5% on the day, while BNB, Solana, and Tron all pumping and in the green. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com. The current crypto market cap back on the rise, baby. 3.35 trillion. The Bitcoin market cap, right? Wow, look at that. 2121. 2.1 trillion. It's 2121. Tell me that's not a divine omen, fam. And checking out top 100 crypto. Oh, let's not forget about the dominance. 63.3% Bitcoin dominance back on the rise. Ether dominance back on the decline at 9%. Top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours. Looks like we got Pendle leading the pack, up 9%, followed by Aave, up 8%, followed by CurveDAO, up 6%. Let me know which alts, if any, you're bullish on for this particular bull. And checking out the crypto bubbles, we get a visual perspective on the daily. As you can see here, safe to say, I'd say 75-25 green over red. Zooming out on the weekly, unfortunately, the bulk of the entire market in the red. And zooming out on the monthly, the silver lining, the bulk of the market in the green. Impressive gainers across the board. And checking out the infamous crypto greed and fear index. Today we're 71 greed. Yesterday 74. Last week a 70, and last month a 37 in fear. And checking out the infamous time chain calendar. We have 152,414 blocks into the halving of 2028. And we're currently on block number 897,586. And today you can only receive 938 sats per dollar. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, you could have got like 1,500 sats per dollar. Well, this number is going to continue to go down as the dollar continues to lose purchasing power against the pre-low biddy, going up forever, Laura. So you know what to do. Pick up the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. Get yourself a custom biddy exclusive. But yeah, now let's transition into our astrology for the broskies and the baddies, and we'll pull up some of the live charts, which are looking lit right now. Bitcoin ready to vaporize the shorts once price discovery above 110 begins. Will today be the big day? Let me know. Here you're looking at a 1 month chart. Bitcoin is 11 days from potentially setting its highest monthly candle close in history after achieving a record weekly close of 106.4 May 18th. Bitcoin can secure a new monthly high by closing above 102.4 this month, and I think it's a given. With respect to the current market trend, Bitcoin is inches away from price discovery, only 2,000 away. We're within striking distance. A break above Bitcoin's all-time high of 110 would initiate a price discovery phase phase, driving Bitcoin into uncharted trading range with successive higher highs until the market participants establish a new equilibrium between supply and demand. Bitcoin is close to confirming a golden cross on the daily chart, which has historically preceded 45 to 60% price rallies. Such a move coincides with the probability of Bitcoin hitting new highs today, I dare say. A monthly close near 110 would mark 15 to 17% gain for Bitcoin in May, its strongest May performance since 2019. This would significantly surpass the historical average monthly return of only 8% per month, so we're well ahead of schedule. Now, the chart shows us this compression often signals an impending breakout with historical precedent set in 2017, the rally when Bitcoin surged from 20,000 from 1,000. That was my inauguration year. When I got started in Bitcoin, the bulk of my accumulation was at 1,500, and I did the math. I am virtually up 7,000% on my Bitcoin holdings. I'll let that sink in. It's virtually a 70x. So can Bitcoin do 100x? Absolutely. Can it do another 100x from where we are today? Absolutely. I dare say it's inevitable. But what are your thoughts? Now, using Bollinger Bands alongside the price range suggests the volatility is building within the current cycle. The third compression phase in 2025 mirrors the 2017 cycle. Let's go. Where the Bitcoin halving events and supply shocks fueled retail FOMO, driving major price rallies. Now, what if we were to 20x? That means Max Keiser's target of 2.2 million is in play. I repeat, 2.2 milli. In play. Now, from the vantage point of a Bitcoin liquidation, over 3 billion in short leveraged positions are at risk of being liquidated if the biddy price moves to 110 from 105. In contrast, it would take a drop to 94,000 to trigger a similar amount in long liquidations. Yeah, I don't see that happening. This skew suggests a higher probability of a price pushing upwards to chase liquidity on the sell side rather than dropping lower. In fact, something I shared yesterday, I think during the Q&A, I said Bitcoin's more likely to go to $1 billion per coin than zero. Let that sink in. Now, technical analysts shared here, a liquidation magnet is glowing above 107, ready to vaporize billions in shorts. First, Bitcoin soared on fear. Next, it'll rise on the liquidations. Anyone shorting Bitcoin right now is retarded. I'm just saying, what are you, Jim Cramer? But anyways, fam, next I promise to pull up some of the live charts because they're looking so freaking lit right now. It's not even funny. So let's pull up the live charts, a little live chart action, Jackson, satisfaction for the broskies. Here you're looking at a 1 hour chart via Coinbase, via TradingView, bullish scenario in play, bullish pennant formation sensation, sitting at 116,346. Price discovery on the daily chart, also a rising wedgie formation, historically very bullish. Zooming out from there, we take a look at the 4 hours. We continue to work our way backwards, broskies. And on the 4 hour chart, very green bullish candle, as you can see, formed here this morning. Also a bullish pennant formation and a bull pennant formation target sitting at 116,300. Very similar to the 1 hour chart. So 1 hour chart bullish, 4 hour chart bullish, transitioning into the daily chart. The daily chart says it's going up forever, JV. And as you can see, the day is already off to a great start. May 20th, mark this day in your calendar. A day to remember. New all-time highs in play. Also 117, or actually it's 111, just shy of $112,000 target on the daily chart. So all the charts thus far, extremely bullish, suggesting price discovery in play. Zooming out for the weekly, we have the sexy cup and handle target, which has been on the screen literally for several months, sitting at 124,000. Now, what I want to bring your attention to is how many green weekly candle closes consecutively do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're off to our 7th green consecutive week. Nothing short of bullishness since we have transitioned from Q1 to Q2 2025. Historically, Bitcoin shows us the year after the halving, somewhere between 12 to 18 months after the halving, which we just recently had in April of 2024, we hit the cycle peak. So we have like another 5 months, most likely a pure bullish momentum, unless there is a extended cycle where we just continue the bullish momentum throughout the year and potentially into the next year, which historically would be bearish. But there's no telling, as you know, Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom, and the pretty low money printer go burr. And zooming out a little further, taking a look at the monthly, that's right, last month green candle closed, this month already forming in the green. So you already know markets are lit right now. Germany The people there are turning around, disgusted at the fact their government lost them roughly $2.5 billion for being retarded and having the bulls, or I should say the balls, my bad, to sell their Bitcoin at 57,000 like idiots. But that'll be our next story today. All right, next story of the day, yo. Here's the latest from Germany's retarded move. Do you guys remember the big story several months back? They sold a substantial amount of Bitcoin, their government, at 57,000. Then Bitcoin went on to surge to new all-time highs, surpassing 100,000, which means they've missed out on now probably above $2.5 billion. Let this be a lesson for all the other countries around the world. Listen up. The German government missed out on more than $2 billion worth of Bitcoin profit after selling its holdings in 2024, according to blockchain intelligence firm Arkham. The German government labeled crypto wallets sold 49,800 Bitcoin worth over roughly 2.9 billion at an average price of 57,000 across multiple transactions during June and July of last year. The decision to sell the Bitcoin early cost the German government roughly $2.5 billion, according to Arkham Intelligence. If they had held it, their Bitcoin would now be worth $5.24 billion. And that was before this morning's pump. Just keep that in mind. So Bitcoin has risen more than 80% since the sale. And the German government labeled wallet first raised speculation of a potential sell-off back on June 19th last year when it executed 6,500 BTC transfer worth 425 milli. The wallet originally held 50,000 Bitcoin, believed to have been seized from the operators of Movie 2K, a now defunct pirated film site. The wallet selling patterns point to hasty transactions that weren't optimized for the smallest market impact and the best profitability. According to Miguel Morel, founder of Arkham, quoting him here, the last thing I would have expected is that they would just go to 5 different exchanges and start market selling. Idiots. The fact that they're going to do so many different exchanges just reads like they're trying to get as much liquidity from each order book as possible. The reports surrounding the German government's Bitcoin liquidations may have contributed more to the Bitcoin downtrend than the volume of sold BTC. The Bitcoin price recovered above the 60,000 psychological mark July 14th, a day after the German government labeled wallet ran out of Bitcoin, putting an end to investor uncertainty about the future selling pressure. So all I had to do was hodl for a few more months and they wouldn't have lost out on $2.5 billion. But I mean, you can't fix stupid. Hopefully the United States and the rest of the world can learn from it and use that as a learning opportunity, right? Next story of the day, we discussed Germany's stupid mistake. Now, Genesis $3.3 billion lawsuit, yo. That's right. Headline reads, Genesis filed dual lawsuits to claw back $3.3 billion from DCG and Barry Silbert. So let's break it down. Genesis has launched a pair of lawsuits against the parent company, Digital Currency Group, and its CEO, Barry Silbert, accusing them of fraud, reckless mismanagement, and siphoning more than $1 billion in value from the now bankrupt crypto lender. That's right. May 19th, the Delaware Court of Chancery unsealed the complaint detailing how the DCG allegedly used Genesis as a corporate ATM, draining funds through self-serving loans and concealed transfers while presenting a false image of financial health. Through their court-appointed litigation oversight committee, Genesis creditor claimed that over 1 million digital coins worth about $2.1 billion were funneled away, even as Genesis edged towards a collapse. And as per the complaint, Genesis creditors are still owed roughly $2.2 billion worth of the crypto assets, including over 19,000 BTC, 69,000 Ether, and 17 million other tokens, along with significant unpaid fees and interest as of February 9, 2025. At the core of the lawsuit is the claim that Silbert and other insiders ignored basic risk controls and pushed Genesis into reckless lending practices that ultimately served to benefit DCG's crown jewel, Grayscale Investments. That's right. The complaint describes Genesis as having operated without a board of independent oversight, with key decisions made to enrich DCG at the expense of depositors. In particular, Silbert, Cranes, and Murphy orchestrated sham transactions at the end of the second and third quarters of 2022, when Genesis books closed, to deceive Genesis lenders into believing DCG was providing liquidity and equity to Genesis, according to the complaint. So this is all allegedly. Genesis also said it was forced to accept illiquid Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, we all know GBTC, shares as collateral and was barred from selling them, creating major valuation risks. Quoting them again, GBTC was illiquid because it could have not been sold for 6 months after the purchase due to the lockup period imposed by the SEC, and DCG prohibited Genesis from reselling GBTC even after the lockup period ended. The complaint names DCG Barry Silbert, former Genesis CEO Michael Morrow, and former DCG Chief Financial Officer Michael Cranes, DCG President Mark Murphy, and DCG's investment banker DeCara Partners as the defendants. So this is all going down, I guess, and soon to be litigated here. The second complaint filed in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District in New York alleges DCG and its affiliates withdrew over $1.2 billion in U.S. dollars in crypto during the year leading up to the Genesis bankruptcy. These withdrawals, the LOC argued, were timed around major market events such as the collapse of Terra Luna, Three Arrows Capital, FTX, moments when Genesis was already insolvent. Internal filings suggest insiders recovered 100% of their funds. Not surprised, while retail and institutional creditors were left exposed. And I'm so sick of seeing this time and time again. These baseless lawsuits recycle the same tired 2-year-old claims in an opportunist attempt by sophisticated investors to extract additional value from DCG. They shared, "We worked in good faith with a wide range of stakeholders to try to achieve a comprehensive resolution of the DCG-related aspects of the Genesis bankruptcy. We will vigorously defend ourselves against these spurious claims." I guess that was their clap back. And in total, Genesis is seeking to recover more than $3.3 billion through the 2 lawsuits. Quite a hefty chunk of change. And in April of 2025, the New York judge ruled that most of the New York Attorney General civil fraud lawsuits against DCG Silbert and former Genesis CEO can move forward. The suit accuses DCG and his bankrupt lending arm Genesis of misleading investors after the collapse of the crypto hedge fund Three Arrows Capital, allegedly masking $1 billion shortfall with a 10-year low-interest promissory note. And while Gemini and Genesis have settled, DCG and executives have fought the charges. Genesis filed for bankruptcy early 2023 with $14 billion in outstanding loans. And if you don't know, now you know. That's pretty wild, yo. Now, also, got to keep in mind, GBTC, before it transitioned its trust into Bitcoin ETF after the ETFs got approved by the SEC, which they didn't get approved till January of 2024. So prior to that, GBTC was like the largest holder of Bitcoin in the world. I remember they surpassed 400,000 Bitcoin. Then once they converted their product, after the ETFs went live, it's been nothing but outflows, but maybe that explains what's really been going on. And then, ironic enough, a few weeks ago, I saw Barry Silbert doing an interview talking about he found the next best Bitcoin or something like that. So you can't make this shit up. But nonetheless, we'll see how it all fares out. Sounds like DCG needs a trip down the old poop chute, something like that. U.S. Senate moves forward with the genius stablecoin bill. That's right. U.S. Senate voted to advance a key stablecoin regulating bill after Democratic senators blocked an earlier attempt to move the bill forward over concerns about Trump's sprawling crypto empire. Haters. A key procedural vote on the guiding and establishing national innovation for the U.S. Stablecoin Act, better known as the Genius Act, passed in a 66-32 vote yesterday, May 19th. Several Dems, including Mark Warner, Adam Schiff, is he related to Peter Schiffmeister? And Ruben Gallego changed their votes to pass the motion to invoke the cloture. What the hell's a cloture? Cloture, whatever. Which is now set for the bill to debate on the Senate floor. Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis, shout out to Cynthia for ghosting the Ripple CEO, Garlinghouse, and not doing a meeting with them, which is kind of hilarious. One of the bill's key backers said on May 15th that she thinks it is a fair target to have the Genius Act passed by May 26th, Memorial Day in the U.S., 6 days out. Let's go. Several Democratic senators withdrew support for the bill May 8th, blocking the motion to move it forward, citing concerns over potential conflicts of interest involving Trump's crypto ventures and the bill's anti-money laundering provisions. Warner expressed concerns about Trump's crypto ventures in a statement before the vote, but said the U.S. couldn't afford to keep standing on the sidelines while the crypto industry evolves. Quoting him here. We cannot allow the corruption to blind us to the broader reality. Blockchain tech is here to stay. If American lawmakers don't shape it, others will, and not in ways that serve our interests or democratic values. Meanwhile, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, aka Pocahontas, the longtime crypto hater, was one of the strong opponents, not surprised, of the stablecoin bill, arguing before the vote that it failed to address Trump's blatant crypto corruption. What about your corruption, Miss Senator Warren? Now, Trump and his family have recently launched various crypto projects, including meme coins, a crypto platform, that's WLFI, the crypto mining company, American Bitcoin, and plans to go public with a stablecoin that has quickly grown to be the 7th largest by value. According him or her here, Trump and his family have already pocketed hundreds of millions of dollars from his crypto ventures. Now, Trump says he didn't profit anything from it when I heard him, so just FYI, this is allegedly. And they stand to make hundreds of millions more from the stablecoin, USD1, if the bill passes. That's not a good reason not to pass a bill just saying Trump's going to get richer. Who cares about Trump's wealth? It's about the people and what's in our best interest, you artards. Senator Bill Hagerty introduced the Genius Act February 4th, which seeks to regulate nearly $250 billion stablecoin market, currently dominated by Tether and Circle's USDC. And FYI, there's a bidding war right now for USDC between Ripple Labs and Coinbase, and I hear it's north of $10 billion. Now, the bill requires stablecoins to be fully backed, have regular security audits, and approval from federal state regulators. Only licensed entities can issue stables, while algorithmic stablecoins are restricted. Hagerty's stablecoin bill builds on the discussion draft he submitted for the former Representative Patrick McHenry's Clarity of Payment Stablecoins Act in October. So it seems like a done deal. We all knew that was coming because stablecoins have been fully embraced by Trump and the entire Trump administration, which is pro-crypto. And in crypto, we need stablecoins. So you already know. Let's transition into our next story of the day, the latest from El Salvador, and then the latest from your holiness, Max Keiser, predicting 2.2 million with the BondPocalypse amongst us. But first, here's the latest from El Salvador, Bitcoin country. Their Bitcoin holdings surged to 644 million. It's now even higher because Bukele was just flexing as the Bitcoin price continues to rise. But while the IMF has required limitations on public sector crypto engagement as part of the 1.4 billion loan agreement, which was more recent, El Salvador's Bitcoin office has continued purchasing 1 bitty per day. Keeps the doctor away and keeps the IMF away. This strategy appears to have paid off. The country now holds a massive trove of unrealized gains, probably now close to 400 million, driven by Bitcoin's recent rally. Inches away from all-time high. We're roughly 2,000 away at the time of the live stream. Price discovery in play. President Bukele shared a screenshot on X revealing that the Bitcoin of El Salvador's portfolio is now worth more than 644 million. And it was built on an initial investment of 287 million. As such, this has translated into over 124% profit margin. Despite ongoing scrutiny from the global financial institutions, El Salvador has remained firm in its Bitcoin accumulation strategy. Bukele, the philosopher king who led the move to legalize the bitty in 2025, the first country to do so, has a means of boosting financial inclusion and consistently dismissed external pressure to roll back the program. And according to the data compiled by Bitcoin Treasuries, the Central American country's holding of 6,181 BTC position is as the 6th largest sovereign Bitcoin holder across the world, with the U.S. topping the list, followed by China, the U.K., Ukraine, Bhutan. I don't know why they left out North Korea, because the Lazarus Group allegedly has like 200,000 Bitcoin, which is really more than the United States, because the United States claims to have 200,000, but they never showed us the proof of reserves, and also roughly 100,000 doesn't belong to them. It belongs to Bitfinex, as per Samson Mountain. The OGs then know what they're talking about, so I digress. Last December, El Salvador agreed to scale back its Bitcoin-focused policies as part of the financial agreement with the IMF, but we found out later that was FUD because they really haven't rolled back their buying spree. The package included a 1.4 billion loan and is expected to total 3.5 billion, but it came with conditions that aim to reduce the crypto activity in the country. F the IMF. They previously warned the possible risks tied to El Salvador's holdings, like as if they care about El Salvador, the people, right? Hilarious. Complying with the deal, lawmakers approved reforms January this year, such as making Bitcoin acceptance optional, in which it always was, just FYI, nothing changed there. Bukele made it clear that crypto remains a central part of his vision. No, Bitcoin remains a central part of his vision. Shitcoins are illegal. The only alternative coin, which is not illegal from my understanding in El Salvador, is registered security Tether USDT, which is a stable coin, as they actually have a headquarters out there. However, all other altcoins are considered unregistered securities and can land you in prison for promoting them. Just FYI. So, Mr. Garlinghouse, you may want to stay out of, and Mr. Hoskinson, you may want to stay out of Bitcoin country. But just saying. Now for our featured story of the day, Bitcoin $2.2 million in play as the global BondPocalypse is a-coming, warns Max Keiser, Your Holiness himself. So let's actually start with some recent tweets that Max just recently shared. I'm going to read them to you out loud. This one here, he put, yen carry trade explodes, Japan forced to sell 1.2 trillion, and U.S. Treasury bonds. Bitcoin carry trade goes vertical. The speculative attack on fiat money spikes higher as capital flees the low-yielding fiat money and plows into the high-yielding Bitcoin. 2.2 million in play. Meanwhile, Bukele sitting back with his feet on his desk like a boss. He also recently tweeted, this slow motion train wreck, the pin popping, the global Ponzi scheme has taken 20 years to finally burst. The yen carry trade, look it up, has provided liquidity to keep 2 quadrillion worth of derivatives afloat and is now unwinding. Is this the finale of the fourth turning? A global BondPocalypse ushering in depression 2.0. The ultimate safe haven, Bitcoin 2.2 million in play. And now let's dive a little deeper into the particular article featuring Max right here. I'm going to read this to you. Max Keiser, Bitcoin advisor to President Bukele, has taken to his account on X to publish both a major warning and a Bitcoin price prediction. Again, 2.2 million in play. Keiser retweeted an X post published by the Prophet, who speaks of the Japanese financial situation being worse than that of Greece. He mentions the debt to GDP in Japan being more than 260%, the rising JPG yields, a collapse in yen, and the Bank of Japan losing control of the bond market, and the Japanese capital fleeing into the U.S. assets, Bitcoin in particular. The tweet calls this the major inflection point, not only for Japan, but for the entire world, adding that the majority of the people have no idea what this means. I mean, the high priest has spoken. Keiser commented on this, calling the situation in Japan a slow motion train wreck that is about to finally bust. He also mentions the yen carry trade with its flow of capital from Japan into the U.S. bond market. He stated that this strategy has provided liquidity to keep $2 quadrillion worth of derivatives afloat, and it's now collapsing. Max predicts that this global crash of the bond markets, the BondPocalypse, as he refers to it, is ushering in depression 2.0. Max believes that Bitcoin, being the ultimate safe haven, is bound to reach 2.2 million as the global economic conditions continue to worsen. Let me know your thoughts on that. And speaking of Max, I'm actually going to go to his X profile and just scope out some of the recent tweets, see if there's anything brand new I can share with you. Make sure you're following Max, of course, on X. He wrote here, the pro-USD stablecoin camp thinks creating private issuers of fake US dollars will solve the problem of the US government issuing worthless fiat money, US dollars, to infinity. Exactly. The solution to the exploding debt problem is to stop printing to infinity. Simple. Not creating more entities that can also print to infinity. Common knowledge. This private US dollar, or the private US dollar printers are converting the fake money into Bitcoin, but the US government is too stupid to see they're being rug pulled. Bitcoin 2.2 million in play. I dare say 20x, baby. Let's send it and get a repost from me. Make sure you guys repost Max post right there as well. And shout out Max. Of course, I greatly appreciate every time he reposts any of my content. That's why yesterday we had close to 8,000 people on the live stream. I'm just going to read you, just in case you missed yesterday's episode. This was the feature story. The mayor of Panama City, Mayor Mizrachi, had a meetup with Max and Stacy. Mizrachi assessed that this meeting was only the beginning of great things to come after posting Bitcoin Reserve earlier on X. El Salvador's geothermal and Panama's hydroelectric will power the Biddy revolution. And for those that missed that news, Bitcoin strategic reserve incoming for Panama. As I wrote here, El Salvador's geothermal and Panama's hydroelectric will power the Bitcoin revolution, and the revolution will not be televised. Make sure you guys repost these posts that Max reposted as well. That way we can help orange pill more of the masses. I'm going to do that right now, right here, live and in the flesh. Bada boom, I bought a Bitcoin. And as you can see here, Marty Bent shared, Max reposted. Are the Japanese using Metaplanet as a Bitcoin proxy flight? Exactly. To safety as their government bond market melts down. I think that's precisely what they're doing. Look, Metaplanet up roughly 60% on the week, and it's been nothing but parabolic. Their stock since adopting a Bitcoin strategy, and they just made another massive purchase of over 1,000 Bitcoin, which we shared on yesterday's pod. Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high in Argentina. Weak currencies first, then all of them, they're all going to zero against the pretty little bitty, because pretty little bitty is going up forever, Laura. So you already know, fam. Let me know your thoughts. 2.2 million in play. Even if we fall short of the 2.2 million target and only achieve 50%, 1.1 million still in play. 2024 dragons. We don't slay dragons. We are dragons that slay. You feel me? As you already know. Welcome, everyone, joining the live stream. This is the Q&A segment of the stream, and we'll most likely flip this into a pump watch.